Hello, this is the Terrestrial Moments YouTube channel. If you're just finding this, it is a hub for personal development, business development, art, nature, and more. My name is Terry, and this is a YouTube channel I started back in 2020. And the last longer video I made, I had given a life update. I was getting excited because earlier in October 2024, I had a meeting with my SCORE mentors. If you are someone who's pursuing business plans or an entrepreneur, SCORE is amazing. And now it's mid-November. Like I had said earlier in the month, I got together and talked with a group of mentors about all the various ideas and plans that, I've been developing and daydreaming and vision boarding about. And the feedback that they gave me was not exactly the direction I was looking for the conversation to go in, but some of that had to do with my own, just life. And they had asked me to have a mission statement ready to go, a 2-minute elevator pitch. And I did not have that. I had it, but I didn't have it in front of me. So I was overwhelmed with embarrassment because I could not render it off the top of my head. And they caught my vibe, and, it ended up going in a direction of them asking me, if it's the right time to be pursuing all this, because I seemed overwhelmed and stressed. And I've got a lot of thoughts on that. In the moment, I was overwhelmed and stressed, and I was really glad they took the chance on vulnerability to ask me, because it really helped me stop and reflect on getting clear about my own self-care and my own history with burnout. I'll tell you a little story. So when I was in my undergraduate degree program for environmental studies, I took on a lot, and I did end up burning out I think it was my sophomore year. Maybe even I forget what year it was. I don't even remember. I think it was my sophomore year, first semester. I left school on a medical leave, basically, just because the anxiety and at the time that I was being diagnosed with, it was because of having stacked my place with responsibilities, but a lot of it also had to do with not clearly being true with myself about what I wanted and what I was doing with my time. And it led me to a point where I decided it was best for me to back out and kind of just work on self-care. And the way I did that, the way I worked on my self-care, is I spent a lot of time in nature, in the woods, outside. I volunteered with a nonprofit that brings kids outside to do adventure-based education. And I basically decided that was the direction I wanted to go, and that I would go back to school and I would complete my undergraduate degree. And that's what I did. And after, when I went back to school, I took less on, but I still was working part-time. I worked various part-time jobs throughout my undergraduate. I didn't ever just focus on my studies and have that be it. I don't know. I think it's a symptom of, for me, it's a symptom of the society. It's not necessarily But, when you think about things like that, you have to take accountability too, right? Because if it's society, like, you always have a choice about how you process what society says is important. And so yeah, it was a mixture of me like feeling pressure to work part-time, because for me it's like I don't like to feel like there's empty space or boredom, or like I'm not being productive. Right? So it's finding that balance of productivity and feeling like, what you're spending your time doing is meaningful for you. And I graduated 2014. So, that was a little recap of burnout to graduating on time, which was so cool. Because there was a lot hinging on that for me. But all that to say, my SCORE mentors like asked me to really think about burnout and to really think about my self-care and to really think about what it is that I want and what I'm doing and why am I pursuing it. One of the questions that came up is like, why are you pursuing this? Pursuing a wellness-based business is something that for many years I kept myself from doing because I thought I wasn't well enough. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't like someone who had anything to offer the wellness industry because I wasn't perfect. I wasn't 100% raw vegan. I wasn't like really in tune with the values that the industry says are so important, like practicing yoga every darn day, or like from the environmental aspect, like being the most like ethically responsible person. Like I just had these standards that because I believed the hype, and I just thought there's no place for me to be a yoga teacher because I still have these habits that are unhealthy, or a fitness teacher. I did teach swimming. I had the confidence in that, but coached competitive swimming, and I did teach some yoga classes, but I didn't really believe in myself to push in that direction. So when I'm thinking about all these things, and if you've made it this far in the video, thank you. These videos are pretty raw. These are me processing the journey so that I can take the next steps, and put out there to my community like exactly where I'm at, because I know there's people who watch these videos and follow along. So if you're there, thank you so much. So here we are, present day. SCORE mentors asked me like, you didn't come here with your 2-minute proposal. You seem like you need self-care. You need to kind of like get clear on why you're doing this. And I think to some degree where I've landed and what I understand about my own process and the journey is like, for the past business that I did that was successful and that I thrived in, which was my gardening business, that business was built off of a time where things were very uncertain for me, and I gave myself no choice but to back out of organized career model, which working for another company, and I just stepped out of that model and found a way to do my own business and have my own source of income where I could just really be alone and reflect like this a lot. I didn't do a lot of the reflecting on camera at the time, but I was always working through kind of like what led me to that place where I felt like society didn't have a spot for me, didn't have a spot for someone who experiences bouts of anxiety when I'm around big groups of people, or someone who feels things on a deep level, and that impacts my energy levels or my productivity levels. Someone who cares so deeply for my friends and family, and that's always going to come before my career to some extent, because we just don't know how much time we have on this earth. So those big ideas are things I was working through. Not to mention time freedom. It's huge. I mean, that's what all the influencers say though, right? So anyway, it was born from a place of struggle. And when I think about the next chapter for me and like where I'm going, is like, I know that part of life is like going through challenges and coming out the other side, and like, growing through what you go through is a huge motto for me. And if I'm gonna pursue a new chapter of building revenue streams for myself that support the kind of lifestyle that is important to me, which is sustainability in my well-being overall. That's like, that's from the food I eat to what I'm able to give back to the community at large, to like being there for my family in ways that are deeply aligned and meaningful. I need to think about the business model from those pillars, right? Like those are the important things in my layout. And so one of the things I talked about with my mentors is like a wellness-based business is important for me because, there's the accountability to always have those elements be something that I come back to in my own practice. But even that leverage, now that I've had a few weeks to think about it, even that leverage of like having your business be some sort of accountability for your personal values, I think there is something there in the sense of like, if you want a business that feels good to you and feels like, doesn't feel like work, feels like your purpose, then I think a wellness-based business is the direction I'm going. All fears left behind, because wellness is where it all starts. To be there for your family, you need to like have a focus on your health, and to be there for yourself, and to see things come to pass in your life. It's going to be easier if you're healthy to do those necessary steps. And I think creativity is like really important for me as a person, like creating space for creativity for myself. There's definitely a part of me that likes to see others shine and likes to be of service and wants to help. And I see that as like a strength. So all that to say, where I've landed on and what I've been thinking about, journaling about, preparing for the next time I get together with my SCORE mentors, which is in early November, is, if I'm going to be working on my self-care, doing these wellness type exercises and practices for myself is what's important right now. I'm in grad school. I'm in a master's program. I am working full time. I have a relationship that is precious to me, and I have my beautiful family that I just crave to spend more time with. And of course, there's like the material things that I think I want and I think would bring me joy, but I think that obviously there's more to life than material things, and like, what's the point of reaching any amount of success if you can't find your center when you're at what feels like a rock bottom? And what I've learned about life is that when it feels like you're at a rock bottom, it's a setup. And it's a setup for your success. It's a setup to push you to new levels of understanding about yourself and others that bring you more joy, more peace, more kindness and compassion for yourself and others. And so there's a part of me that, felt so frustrated that I didn't have the perfect vision written, the perfect mission statement. It was written, but didn't have it prepared for these mentors. But the whole thing is that if I'm seeking mentors, those are guides. Those are people who are shining a light to my journey. And they're telling me more self-care. And these are people who've met me twice, right? So, my goodness. I think the ways to find more self-care for myself are to literally make it happen, right? Go out on a walk. Write my poetry. Make my art. Clean my house. So those are the kind of things you'll see on my YouTube channel. Probably talk more about grad school, more about self-care, more about aligned business. If you've built a business, or you have been at rock bottom, or you have life advice that you feel like would be good for anyone who has found this video, please put it in the comments. If you've watched this whole video, thank you for checking it out. I hope there's a nugget of something in there for you, because as much as I made this video for anyone who's watching, I'm also making it for myself. It's the cool thing about YouTube. You get to document the journey. You get to see how far you've come. It's like a time capsule. It's like a little time capsule. All right. Love you. Cheers.